So you would have seen that we have a new feature launching called Confidence Check, and it's an AI-powered editorial assistant that prevents the uh-oh moments before you hit send. Our next session will tell you more about it in detail, but just a reminder that if you want to learn more, I do see some interest here. There's a book a demo / learn more button in your right-hand corner above the chat bar, and if you hit that, you'll be connected with a member of our team.
Now it's time to jump into one of my favorite and hottest topics, shaping internal comms today. You know what it is, of course.
Coming right up is the Ultimate AI Internal Comms Guide, 5 tips to level up. And let's be honest, AI is changing the way we work. We know that by now, but it's also opening up huge opportunities for us as communicators.
Yep, exactly. Our speaker today, Gab, is ready to dive into AI tools and practical solutions. So those of you, get your notepads ready. There will be plenty of insights for you to dive into and to make note of, okay? So, Christina.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you here. Take it away.
Hey, everyone. So excited to be here. I put something in the chat. Would love to hear where you're dialing in from. Also, please let me know what you cover so we can make sure that this is super relevant to you. This is going to be your ultimate guide to AI in comms. Oh, hey, Shilpa. How's it going? Hey, Eric. Good to see you all. Okay, we are going to do 5 insights from a survey we did of 170 comms pros. I see people from Canada. I see people from Mexico, from Atlanta, my old stomping grounds. Amazing. So I was sharing my screen and then it went away. So we're going to put her back up on here and get into it. Let me introduce myself, everyone. My name is Gab Fari, and I've had a really great comms career. I worked at some really big companies, like leading comms at places like Bumble and Slack. And over that time, I scaled really quickly. I went from individual contributor to VP of Global Comms in just 6 years. And I will be honest with you, a lot of that time, I felt like I was alone and like I was winging it. And I really wanted a place where I could stay ahead of the trends and I could grow in my career without burning out. So I built that place. That place is called Off the Record. I like to be your comms BFF who's going to tell you like it is and who's going to help you get smarter and sharper. This session is going to give you a good insight to what I do all the time within my membership organization because I am the one in your corner to help you see around the corner. I am the one who is getting you a seat at the leadership table so you can be home in time for the dinner table. Because we as comms people have an amazing job here, but we can rise as leaders without losing ourselves. And you're here because you want to learn about AI. You want to get better. You are my people. Let's get into it. First, some quick housekeeping. You are going to get this recording from ContactMonkey. You are going to get the slides and 7 AI action plans, and we are also going to answer your questions. So if you want to put your notebook down, you can, and just be here and be present. Make the chat fun. It makes me more excited when I'm presenting these. And pop in questions into the Q&A at any time. If you like a question, upvote it, and we can make sure that we prioritize those. If I don't get to your question, my email is going to be on the last slide. Send it to me, and I will get back to every single person who reaches out. So does that sound good? All right, let's get into it. Today, we are going into 5 insights from a survey of 170 comms professionals. These insights are going to be practical, tactical, and immediately applicable because, friends, I do not do big theories. I do big to-dos. I want you to know what you can do today with these insights. So by the end of this session, you're going to know where you stand on the AI maturity spectrum, the latest tools and tricks for comms and AI, how to step up as your company's AI guardian, and how to, dare I say, do some PR for your AI program. And I hope by the end of this, you'll realize you're not behind. You are right in time to lead the AI comms revolution. So first, let's jump into our data set. I partnered with the folks at Axios HQ on this, and we surveyed 171 comms leaders. And they're just like you. Most everyone we talk to has 10 or more years of experience. They're mostly directors or VPs and above, and they're split. Half are in-house and half are agency or consultant. These are people like you that are going to trainings, that are a part of groups like Off the Record, that are following brands on LinkedIn and trying to learn more. And these are the leaders, not the lurkers. And this is exactly who I wanted to build this training around because I wanted it to be those folks who are not afraid of AI and who are leaning into it. And if you're just beginning, that's okay. We've got a lot of stuff for you too. But these are people who are advanced. Or working to get advanced. So the big picture in our first insight is that AI adoption is universal, but it's maturity that's not what we found. Every single person, 100%, every single person we surveyed uses AI for work, but just 14% are advanced. And that, my friends, is a maturity gap. So, our first poll that I'd love to put on is, where are you on this spectrum? Let me define it. Beginners, you use AI for search or quick questions. Intermediate, you use AI to write, edit, or brainstorm. And if you're advanced, you have built workflows, automations, and custom GPTs. It'll be interesting to see what the survey says, and we'll check back in a second on the poll, which hopefully you all can see now and can put in your votes. But our survey found that most people, 78%, are in this intermediate category. But I have some good news for you. Wherever you fall on the spectrum, you can move up. And let me show you how exactly. Not seeing the poll. Okay, maybe I have to do the poll. Oh, it's not in here anymore. Publish. No, draft. Oh, you guys, you know what? We're just going to wing it here, right? Where do you fit? Write it in the chat, beginner, intermediate, or advanced, and I'd love to see where you are. So let's see, intermediate. Oh, we got a couple advanced in here. Some more intermediates coming in. So good to hear from you all. This feels pretty aligned. Aspiring advanced, Bridget. Well, you are in the right session for that. All right. So let me tell you how you can move up. And first, a couple of case studies. Cognizant is an interesting example because their chief communications officer had a challenge. He gave the team a week to vibe code away something that they hated. Let me quickly tell you what vibe coding is. So, vibe coding is where you use words, not code, to build an application for your specific use case. One of the coolest things about AI is that you actually don't have to build technology that will scale to millions of users. You can build an app that works exactly for you, your team, your company, or your challenge by using software like Lovable. Lovable is a vibe coding software that Cognizant team used during their vibe code week. In this 1 week of time, they created dashboards, briefing doc generators, and sentiment trackers in just 1 week. The greatest thing about this is that Lovable CCO gave them the gift of time, because our advanced users in our survey tell us that the biggest blocker to not using more AI is not, oh, I don't really know what to do, or I don't really know what to build. Their blocker is that they just don't feel like they have the time to spend to dedicate on it. So I want to ask you a question. How can you prioritize giving yourself the time to try and build something new? So maybe you're the head of comms at your company. Give your team a week of time. I'm not saying to cancel every internal meeting. Definitely don't cancel client meetings, but could you cancel some team update meetings? Could you maybe skip out on one-on-ones that week and give your team blocks of time? Maybe during your next on-site, you could dedicate some time to try and vibe code something. If you're not the head of comms, how can you advocate for something like this within your team? Next case study is Instacart. And Instacart is using a tool called Feedly, which is not even a comms tool. This is a market research threat intelligence tool to help automate their daily news clips. And what they found by using Feedly for this process is their junior team members spend 75% less time and 60% lower costs doing these daily news reports, which means that these junior people are no longer spending the time copying and pasting from Google News into the email platform and then bolding, underline, hyperlinking, edit, indent, all of that stuff that you and I know takes up a lot of a time. They're now spending the time thinking deeper about what the news means. They're spotting trends ahead of time, and they are helping Feedly be better the next time it makes a report for them. So this isn't automating people, it's amplifying people. And these are just two examples of things that you can do. So my challenge to you is that I want everyone to go one step further on the AI maturity spectrum. So if you are a beginner, I want you to challenge yourself to start using it daily. Maybe just start with email subject line testing or asking it to review your email about what are the strongest insights and compare it to what you would have done. I want you to find an AI accountability buddy. This is someone who you can talk to every single day about how you are using AI, because the data also tells us that the best way to learn how to use AI is to talk with other people about how they're using AI. Maybe you can create a Slack group or a Teams group where you all share your wins throughout the day with across your team or across people within your network. And if you want to get like really advanced, you can even create an AI integration that automatically adds prompts shared within the Slack or Teams group into a prompting library. Now, most of you told me that you are intermediate. So I want you to start to ask yourself, like, what do I hate to do and what takes up my time? And give yourself 1 hour to try and automate it with AI. That's all I'm asking. It's just 1 hour. And see how can maybe you do a first draft of media Q&As, or better yet, summarize town halls, review executive emails, and how much faster can you do that with AI? I also want to encourage you to build a brand voice, and we'll talk a little bit more on that later. Another idea is maybe you could create something that's a quality check or an anti hallucination checker. Now, if you're already advanced, my mission for you is to be the master of AI within your team. Your job is to train your team to be AI native users. You're going to document when it goes right and when it goes wrong. You're going to advocate for your team to go to trainings like this one, or if they can't go to trainings like this one, you're going to use these insights and tell your team, okay, this is what I learned and this is how we can use AI better. So you can level everyone up. And this brings me to my first takeaway, which is the Comms AI Mastery Worksheet. It also includes a bonus template of how you can pitch yourself to lead an internal AI project. Okay, you're like, how do I get this? I know you're so excited. At the end of this session, I have a QR code for you to get this and all 7 takeaways from this presentation, as well as the slides. And I'll also follow up with you after on email to get you these documents. So this will be your first of your 7 takeaways. Understanding maturity is the foundation, but it's certainly not the whole picture. Because once you know where you are on the spectrum of maturity, the next question is, how are you actually using AI? And this is where the data has surprised me the most. So people aren't just using AI for cranking out first drafts, they're more likely to be using it for strategy. So I'd actually thought that this was going to be opposite. It turns out that you all told me that you are already using AI for what I would call higher order thinking, strategy and brainstorming, messaging, and narratives. You're not really using AI for what I would call rote content creation, which is your growth opportunity, because you have already leapfrogged over using AI for rote content creation and are using it for higher order thinking. But the real unlock comes when you use AI for both. And the thing is, I thought everyone was doing this. And then I saw this data and I was like, what is going on? Why are people not using AI for things like drafting executive comms or, guys, repurposing content? What's happening? Yeah, this is Pluto. He's my cat. So we've got monkeys here, we've got cats here too. So everyone can say hi to Pluto. So here's what happened. So I was looking at this data and I like couldn't believe that people weren't using AI for this stuff. And then out of nowhere, my partner comes up to me and he goes, ChatGPT is the worst writer ever. And I was like, what? And so I started to dig into it and I realized that we were using ChatGPT completely different from each other. While I was always writing my first drafts, he wasn't. Why I trained my system on my tone and voice, he didn't. And while I constantly gave the model feedback on what I liked and didn't like, he didn't. And because we did these separate things, we had different experiences on how to use AI for rote content creation. So let me give you a case study on how you can do better and start using AI more for this growth opportunity. So I want to talk to you about my newsletter. I have a weekly newsletter. It's called the Comms Bestie Group Chat. And what I do is I share about 5 things that I read in comms that week that I thought were really interesting that, like, say if we were in a group chat together, this is the type of stuff that I would be posting into the group chat. Now, I have a couple of principles on how I integrate AI into my Comms Bestie group chat. These are my principles, and I encourage you to create your own principles and policies for how you use AI, and we'll talk a bit more about that later. So my principles is I do not use AI for any research. The links that I send in the group chat are links that I found through my life as a comms leader and that I genuinely thought was interesting. I don't use the AI to source those. I also don't use the AI to write any of the jokes, which hopefully have made you laugh or smile if you are a subscriber. And I don't use AI to write a first draft. I always write a first draft. So those are my principles. Finally, the last thing I do, and this goes for my newsletter or anything, is I always draft my content in the platform that it will be published. So if I'm writing an email, I'll use my email platform. If I'm writing a LinkedIn post, I'll use the LinkedIn text, like the box that you type in, right? And for some reason, that's just me because like writing it in the system that it's going to be the final product helps me with like thinking about spacing and scrolling and how it physically looks when people get the content. So let me show you though how I do use AI. So this is my email platform. I have written a full first draft with the links. Now, I have a project. I'm actually using Claude now. I have a project in Claude with a deep description of what the Comms Bestie group chat is and instructions on how to use it. And I say, don't change the order. Don't make anything up. I paste that into this project. See the draft I first did. And then it comes back to me with this edited version. It's given me ideas of little like subject lines. It's given me ideas of emojis, right? And then I edit it, I review it, I fact check it, and then I put it back into the system. So again, that's me, how I use it now. And then I take my final drafts of all of these and then I put it back into the project so it can do better next time. So your mission is to get better at prompting and better at tone training so you can use AI for some more rote content creation tasks. So after this session, or at the end of the session, your QR code will include a prompt library, which includes how to effectively prompt your AI engine to give you good results across the higher order thinking and the rote content creation. But I have a secret for you. You don't need the prompt library. You only need one prompt. It's, how do I best prompt you for XYZ activity or deliverable? Please ask as many follow-up questions as you need. That's it. That's the only thing you need. And once you realize that you can just ask the AI bot how to best work with it, you are going to unlock so much value. Now, the second thing is that you are going to train on tone. So a lot of you work in internal comms, so maybe you can pick one executive. Grab every email they've written, every Slack post they've written, every published byline. Take the transcripts and videos from their all hands and put it into an engine and say, what's the tone of this executive? They're going to come in, the engine's going to come back to you and say, this is what I interpret this executive's tone and voice to be. So you're going to say, okay, cool. That's not exactly right. This is it. This is it. And you're going to adjust and edit it. Then you are going to have a trained tone. So you can gut check what you are drafting against the tone of your executive. Maybe you work on the external comms side, right? Upload your last 10 pitches and then have it identify what are the trends in your most successful media pitches and then let it help you develop more media pitches. Now, as always, you are going to get these documents. I'm going the wrong way. You're going to get these documents after with both a prompt library and a tone training guide. We've talked about maturity and strategy, and now I want to talk about influence. I'm going to blow through this one since a lot of you are internal comms folks, and this actually affects our external comms friends, but it is important that you understand the shifts happening across the pond or across the aisle with your external comms friends. So media relations as we know it is fundamentally changing. I believe in media relations will always be about reaching people. But now there's a new unlock about reaching machines too. And comms people can own this seismic shift. There has been this ultimate tailwind. Human beings, more often than not, are going to AI systems and not Google to ask their questions. And what's funneling those systems? Well, it's not so much our SEO optimized pages and our paid ads. It's actually a lot of earned content, our Wikipedia page, what people are saying about us on Reddit, the reviews that we have on G2. Now, that means that comms owns a lot of what is funneling these agentic engines. So let that sink in for a moment. We as comms leaders have the opportunity to influence search in ways that we have never been able to before. So you got to ask yourself, like, what's my Reddit strategy? How do I make sure my Wikipedia page is up to date? For our internal comms friends, is our Glassdoor information relevant about our companies? People are trying to find out about us, right? Because we as comms people can own a real seat at the table in one of the most important conversations if we allow ourselves to deeply understand our company's agentic search presence and how to influence it. A lot of you already know this. 85% of you told us that you know that earned media is training LLMs, and 72% of you have already changed or plan to change your strategy because of it. You're prioritizing formats that are LLM friendly. You're monitoring how your brand shows up in search results. And I'd love to hear if anyone has been doing anything different, even on the internal comms side, right? Are you doing more Q&As for your intranet so your internal AI can better source answers? What are some changes you're making knowing this? So your mission is to understand a baseline of how your brand shows up in agentic search by prompting the AI, preferably 3, with specific questions like, why do people want to work for my company? Or what are the top hospitals for skin cancer? Or how can CIOs solve the problem that we solve, right? And you are going to ask it to cite its data and then report what you see. You're going to build that into a comms plan. And my recommendation is your entire external comms plan should not be based only on influencing the models, but it definitely part of it should, right? So part of your system should be based off of influencing the models here. Every PR plan should have an agentic search component. Now, if you don't want to do this manually, there's tools where you can do this automatically. I really like Profound. It's a system that I have demoed. It's very, very, very advanced and comprehensive. And they've recently announced a partnership with Global Newswire where you can see how many times an AI system has pulled data from your press release. If you're a premium Muckrack subscriber, you also have access to at least one report of their generative pulse. So if you're really serious, of course, use a tool versus doing something manually. And the second thing you're going to do is earn your seat at the leadership table of the AI search revolution. So you're going to be the person at your company who can explain how search is shifting and how it's not driven by ads, at least not yet. And I think that'll probably come really soon, but it's influenced by earned. And just as our marketing peers owned SEO, I want comms to own agentic search. So again, after this, 2 guides for you. A baseline understanding of how your brand is showing up in agentic search, as well as how you can communicate to your company this shift. So let's get back. We know influence is shifting, but I have a question for you. Who is leading that change inside your company? And that brings us to leadership, because this is where comms pros cannot afford to sit back. I believe that comms teams can be the one to lead the AI transformation at their companies. So let me show you the data. Sorry, let's go back one. All right, let me show you the data. 84% of your companies say, we want you to use AI, but only 50% have a policy or have any training about it. That, my friends, is a communications gap. If you have training, you rate it as meh at best. And who owns it? Well, honestly, it's kind of a smorgasbord. Mostly IT and legal. 7% of you says the comms team owns this. Go you. Please tell us if you're a part of that 7%, because I want comms to own all of this. And let me tell you why. 35% of you told me that you have seen AI create something that would put the brand at risk. But only 29% of you said that you feel responsibility or pressure to create AI guardrails. Okay, guys, I told you I was your comms BFF, so we need to have some real bestie talk right here. This is not good. We as comms people should be feeling that pressure and responsibility to own the transformation of AI in our company, because no one is closer to our company's voice, values, and reputation than us, than comms. So this is our opportunity. You are going to earn your seat at the AI leadership table. And here's how you're going to do it. First, you are going to lead with the company lens, not the comms lens. There's a good chance that your business has already put a stake in the ground on how you're going to be AI first. But friends, you need to be in the room where it's happening. Google Open Door AI, and you'll see from like the latest faux pas about why comms needs to be in the room for the AI transformation. Second, you are going to position yourself as the AI translator. This is bringing together the AI team, the legal team, IT team, and hello, employees who we know better than anyone. And we are the ones who can bridge all these competing priorities into something that our employees get rallied behind. You're going to show up with solutions, not problems. You've got a policy. You're going to say, these are the tools we need to invest in, because guess what? 100% of people are using AI for work. So y'all don't have an approved company-wide AI system. You're just opening yourself up to a lot of trouble. You are going to be the brand guardian. Again, no other function has ownership of reputation. So you are going to say this plainly. If AI is going to touch how we speak, act, or show up, comms must be in the room. And finally, you're going to make some allies. You're going to make some besties. You are going to talk to IT and talk to legal and talk to HR about why comms needs to be in the room to get yourself that invite or ownership of that leadership table. This is the most important transformation of our lifetime, and you need to lead it. So, one thing that you can do right now, if you have no control over anything else, one thing you can do right now is build an AI policy for your comms team. I got this idea from Eleanor Hawkins, the Axios Communicators writer, because she talks a lot about how a lot of teams don't actually have policies that says what is and is not allowed to be used by AI. Does your team allow the first draft to be used AI or only edits? Do you require disclosures about whether or not you're using AI, right? This is something that you can control. And I want to talk to you a little bit about disclosures, because if you have a disclosure like this, think about what this does for you. Let's say you're building an internal comms plan, and then you include this on it. Our communications team embraces AI as a creative partner. Draft was developed and refined with AI support. All final versions are fact-checked, reviewed, and approved by humans, and then you can insert whatever value metrics, and we'll talk about that in a second. What does this do? This turns disclosures into exposure. It starts having you, dare I say, do PR for your AI program, which brings me to my final insight, which is that if you are using AI, but you are not telling anyone about it, you are missing out on a huge opportunity. I'll say it again. 100% of people are using AI for work, and the winners are going to be the ones who do PR for their AI program. 93% of you told me that AI helps you do your job better, but only 41 said that it improves how others perceive your work. So here is the missing piece: doing PR for your AI program. Why does this matter? Because if you work at a computer, your job is at risk. I hate to be blunt, but you got to adapt or die. And I don't want you to just adapt. I want you to lean in, and I want you to show people how you plus the bot makes you a better comms professional. While others are zigging and trying to hide and being like, oh, I don't use any AI. They're lying, by the way. They're totally lying. You're going to say, I use AI so effectively that now I am a better worker and I'm a better contributor to this team and project. And when leadership pulls out the chopping block, because they will, you're not going to be on the list, because they're like, you are the type of person that is being better because of AI, and we are going to keep you. So here's the template. And this should be all outlined in your comms policy, but here's the template. By using AI to task, we impact. That meant business outcome. Let me give you some examples. Instead of saying, AI wrote this draft for me, you can say, AI helped us pressure test this narrative in half the time so we could sharpen the story and align faster. Instead of saying, AI summarized this report, say, AI condensed 40 pages of a policy update into a one-page brief so we could focus on scenario planning and messaging implications. Instead of simply saying, AI saved us time, you're going to say, AI gave us back 5 hours this week. We reinvested that time into building new messaging frameworks and coaching the team. Do you see the difference? Your final action plan is going to be a detailed guide of how you can do AI for your PR for your AI program, right? You're going to set KPIs just like you would anything else. You're going to report on success, and you're going to show how you plus the bot are elevated together. One last case study. Weber Shandwick. Their CEO saw a report from 2 years ago, and that report said that most CEOs said AI could replace some or all of their jobs. Guys, that was 2 years ago. Imagine how much better these systems are. And those are CEOs. They're not comms people. They are CEOs saying that AI could replace their job. So what did the Weber Shandwick CEO do? Did he run away and scared and say, oh, I don't want anyone to know I'm using AI because it can replace me? No, he leaned in. He built, with his office of the CEO team, all of these different systems using AI to make him better. It took from town halls, it took from emails he's written, and it made these little bots so his team can work a lot more effectively. Okay, so when he used AI, again, of course, 100% use AI. But what else did he do? He told people about it. He went to Fast Company and he told them all about how he's making these AI versions of himself. So I have a question for you. Is the CEO of Weber Shandwick irrelevant? Do you think that he shouldn't have his job? Do you think the board thinks he shouldn't have his job? No. They're probably like, yes, I have this awesome CEO who knows how to use AI and is so much more effective and productive because he uses AI. Now, the reporter asked him, what are you doing with your extra time? And here's what he said: blue sky thinking, team coaching, and more time with his kids. And that, my friends, is what I want for you. I want you to have time for blue sky thinking, to grow as a professional, and to be able to grow in your personal life. So, my last question for you: what are you going to do with your extra time? When you take these, what are you going to do with your extra time? Start putting it in the chat. I'd love to see the answers. Let's recap. You are going to advance your AI maturity with our AI and comms mastery worksheet. You are going to automate or vibe code something you hate with our prompt framework and tone trainer. You are going to lead an agentic search with our intro guide and communicating guide. You are going to build an AI comms policy with our policy builder, and you are going to do PR for your AI program with your PR for AI guide. And dare I say, if you have some extra time, you're going to be able to go into more sessions like this exact one. And may I plug, we do a lot of that inside Off the Record. You can go check me out, check that out for more. But let's get you your guides. This is a QR code where you can get all of those resources we talked about. Here's my email and my website. And I think it's time for us to Q&A. Maybe we can keep this up for just a bit. And I'm going to take a sip of water before we get into the Q&A. I have a totally unrelated question. What do you guys think about my glasses? I just picked them up from Costco today. My vision is going, and so this is my first time presenting on it. We like the glasses? Okay, cool. All right. Let's get in the Q&A. Okay, so I am going to sort by upvotes, and I'm going to try and get to as many questions as I can. I've got about 7 minutes left. And again, my email's up there, so you can send in any questions to me that we don't get to. All right, Chriselle. She says, to prevent sharing proprietary or sensitive company info, what suggestions do you have for easily sharing past internal content created into AI tools that's been data sanitized first to get the tone, voice, etc. that we want to extract? I don't work for any company, so I get to say stuff that other people don't get to say. So one thing I'm going to say is I think that the risk of data leakage is a little overblown. Like, I don't think that if you put in like an internal email that it's going to like pop up into somebody else. And if it does, like, why would that person think that it's real and not hallucinated? Like, that's just not really how the systems work. Now, caveats. I would never recommend that you share anything that is not public, that's like really proprietary product roadmaps, or that is like financial data, like any earnings. Like, don't put that in the system, right? But you already have so many guardrails around that. The thing I would say is like ask the AI to delete anything. But really, honestly, at this point, it's 2025. Like, your company or you should have some sort of enterprise license. And if your company does not, show them this data. Say 100% of people are using AI for work. We run a huge risk of all of that data leaving our secure system. Like, we need to invest in an enterprise-wide AI system. And then those automatically can link to your Google Drive or your OneDrive. And then you don't even have to move the data back and forth. It can just pull and then return, and then it all stays within your safe box. And the next question, by the way, I'm not looking at the chat anymore. I'll try and toggle through both, but I'm just focusing on the questions right now. So hopefully that was okay. And if you have follow-up, I'll see if I can get to them at the end. The next question is from Christina. How would you promote more connection in a world where people are going to AI first, especially if your org is adopting multiple AI tools and creating less opportunity for connection and more independent work? You know, it's actually funny, Christina, when I asked the question of like, what are you going to do with your extra time? I think that like having real connection is certainly something that you can unlock. I actually don't think that these things are mutually exclusive. In fact, I think that they're complementary. So instead of being like, hey, we're AI first and a lot of us are going to use AI, that doesn't mean that we then don't have team meetings and one-on-ones and we don't discuss strategy. It just means that I get to talk to you about better stuff than please copy edit this for me. Or is this in our tone voice? Like, I've been the head of comms at many companies. If I have to edit the same shit, the same stuff again one more time because someone didn't look at our tone and voice guidelines, like, I'm going to go crazy. Now, instead of giving that same feedback over and over, I could have real connection with my team and people. So, just like there's definitely a push and pull as does text messaging make us more social or less social because we're less likely to pick up the phone? I see the world as a glass half full. So I see text messaging as a way to connect with my friends and family on a time frame that works for them, but I still pick up the phone, and I hope you do the same with AI. The next question is from Bridget. Do you see a new flavor of comms job coming down the pike, some sort of IT comms hybrid? Yeah, I mean, I think it's like the same as like when email came about and us internal comms people are like, oh, we got to send out emails. I think that the job of comms is still going to be really critical in what you do, but you need to be native in these systems and you need to know them better than everyone else. That's going to be your best career protection and your best ability to get new roles. Because if you can walk into a company and can be like, well, yeah, I can actually vibe code away 20 hours of busy work a week for you all. Like they're going to be like, hired. Plus she knows how to do comms and like knows exactly like how to make this work for us. It's going to be a huge unlock for you. Now, is it an IT comms hybrid? No, I think that you don't have to know coding. The system's going to code it for you. You're just going to have to know good. You're just going to have the ideas and make sure that you give yourself the time to build them. And if you can invest the time, like all investments, it's going to give back to you manyfold because you will then get so much time back on those busy tasks. Amy asks, what do you suggest when your organization only approves one AI tool for use? How do you shift thinking and opening their eyes to other options? Amy, open up some of these documents that talk about how to communicate it, but of course, put it in the sense of the business value as well as productivity unlocked. A lot of times people are reticent to that because they don't want to pay for it, but see if there's an option for just a couple of licenses that are under the enterprise security. And then also remind people that if they're not going to give their teams these tools, they're going to use it anyway. 100% of people are using AI for work. I don't know how many times I had to say it. So you either are going to put it in a company secure system or you're not. So your choice. And of course, you're going to communicate that much better than I did right now. But again, I don't have to work for a company, so I got to tell you like it is. All right. Irene asks, what's the best way to get a comms team comfortable with using AI if they're new to it? Go to that spectrum and build the, shared group chat or the shared Slack group. Share your results, share your insights, and talk about it in terms of like value unlock, not in like the scary terms of like, oh my God, this did my whole job for me. It's like, oh my God, this sped this up and now I get to do this. And the more you can just like personally advocate for it, the more people are going to be willing to try. Because again, data shows that people are most likely to learn how to use AI by actually hearing how others use it. Some of you guys might have gotten ideas from me showing the Comms Bestie group chat, and now maybe your ideas have sparked. What ideas can you get from each other in this chat? Inside Off the Record, we do meetups about AI so we can share how we're using it, right? And it gives us a lot of really good ideas. Irene also asks, sorry, I'm on the next one. Talia asks, is there a similar disclosure statement you would recommend including in your email signature to mitigate all content shared? Talia, it depends on your policy. I don't put in my Comms Bestie group chat that I use AI. I assume you guys know I do because I'm a literal company of one. So obviously I'm going to use everything I have to deliver the best for my people, but that would depend on your policy. And if you want to use it to help you promote the way you use AI, I think that's great. What I really like about that disclosure statements is it says what you did with the time unlocked or like what you were able to do better. And that certainly wouldn't be standard for every single email you use. So just keep that in mind. Friends, we have 15 seconds left. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me an email. I hope to see you all again soon and you enjoyed this session. So to your success. The emojis are fun. Thanks, friends.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you so much. Yeah. Christina, what are your thoughts on this?
It was really interesting, the idea of drafting content first and using AI second. I normally use AI first and edit second.
Nice. That's good. Same here. Same
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah. Gab, you have a really interesting take on this. I'm not gonna lie, and I've taken I've taken your notes into consideration because before I think between Christina and I on the marketing department, what we do is we would pretty much just do a prompt and then allow it, and then we just do the edits that way. But just to that's an interesting outlook for sure.
And it's all about playing around with what works best for you. This is what works best for me. I haven't found that the systems like I don't like it. And this is also, I'm different, right? Everything is tied to me. as like a human versus like a company. And so I really like, that's why I like building it in the system, like in the email platform. And I know that you all have actually released some new AI tools where if I can put the email in the ContactMonkey system, it's going to check things for me. And so I think that that's really powerful than having to constantly copy and paste things back in between tools.
Listen, we all can't be the same. It's good to learn from others and have a change of opinion. That's why we all here today for sure. Christina, tell me a little bit more what's coming up next.
So we've got Evan who's going to show us how to make changes stick with a communication first approach. And it's another session you won't want to miss.
All right. So we're going to do a short break and we'll be right back. Thanks again, Gab.